Hey, everybody, welcome back. Devin, the OG, the original Grognard, and we're actually back over at the table. I know the last couple months it seems to be a never-ending deluge of computer and tiller games. And I know I had kind of promised to do GMT's Britain Stands Alone, but I said I actually got to the point that I set the game up this time. But as I read over the rules, I remembered why I didn't want to get too deep into it last time. It's very operational planning heavy. You need to plan out, all right, these are the radar stations I need to try to bomb, and I need to destroy these airfields to push the airfields back, and these are the ports I need. It's very, very intensive in the operational planning stage, and it's something I despise to do. I don't know. I mean, mechanically the game isn't that difficult. It's just the operational planning of it was a little too much for me. And I happen to receive what we see on the table before us, and well, I have more interest in doing this than Britain Stands Alone. Robert Heinleins Starship Troopers, Avalon Hill, 1976. This game holds special place in my heart. I think this was the first bookcase game I ever purchased. Wasn't the first one I ever owned. I did manage to get Panzerleader one year for Christmas, and I think I acquired this the next. I think I actually paid for this out of my own money the next year. Unfortunately, I lost my copy after I got out of service, like I lost most of my collection. But anyways, this has found its way into my possession again, so it's like an old friend coming home. I used to play the hell out of this game, and this is surprisingly some scuffing, slight pressing of the box, but this is still, other than shelfware, this is still a beautiful box. No torn corners or anything. You know, we're starting to see a little bit of the the glue start to give way, but otherwise still an excellent copy. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's in it and why this was so special to me. And it is partially punched. And it looks like whoever originally purchased this was an original purchase, because he has these little trays. See, back in the day, many moons ago, we didn't have Ziploc sandwich baggies like we use so often nowadays, like these Ziploc. No, we didn't have Ziploc thingies, and for the most part you would see people either using these little things as containers, because we also didn't have counter trays. The only company that did counter trays back then was SPI, and they were rather low quality, or film canisters. See, back in the day, we used to have this thing called film that we would put in cameras that weren't digital, that were analog, and we had camera rolls, and we had these tubes that the camera rolls came in. And so, my first game that I ever saw was Squad Leader, and my buddy's dad, who owned it, had his entire all the counters were in film canisters, and for the longest time, that's what most of my games were in as well, till I went to the baggies. But anyway, so this looks like it was an original purchase, and it looks like he just punched enough counters for the first couple scenarios, but we'll go ahead and set those off to the side. Rules of play. Why did I love this game so much? First of all, I had read the book not too earlier than that, and just absolutely fell in love with it. And let's just jump right in. Now, this game uses what's called programmed instruction. So it basically teaches you all the rules you need to know for the first scenario. Then you go on to the second scenario, and it teaches you all the rules that you need to know for that. It's a great way to learn the game, because you're stepping up your difficulty and adding new rules onto it. It is, however, a pain in the butt to try to find said rules when you're going back through the book, because there's no real index and it's not laid out. And, all right, this is all of movement. This is all of kind. No, it's broken down by chapter. But take a look at this. Take a look at this. Scenario 1, right on the humanoids. Now, I will mention, look at how big my thumb is and how tiny this font is. Avalon Hill, standard 3-column, 6-point font or something like that. But anyways, scenario 1, raid on the humanoids. Scenario 2, Operation Bunkhouse. Stop, read no further, play scenario 1. Not even 2 full pages of rules to get the basics of movement and combat down. Then Operation Bughouse. Okay, we've got a few more. We've got a couple more pages of rules, but it's just barely over 2 pages of rules. Scenario 3 adds a few more rules. Scenario 4 adds a little bit over a page more of rules. Scenario 5, again, this is probably one of the easiest complicated games I've ever played. If you can understand that. It is, I mean, honestly, less than 14 pages of rules, and you really don't even need to read all of them unless you're going to actually play the scenarios that you want to do. Scenarios are laid out squad leader, panzer leader style. You've got the artwork, plus how many is under there, the setup, notes, victory points, special rules. You've got it for all 7 scenarios. 4, 5, 6, 7. I never played all the scenarios. I think I tried Clondaw through the last battle once, and well, actually, I may have tried them all at least once. And then, of course, there's scenario addenda. So as you go on, as you learn the rules better, it's like, all right. So scenario 1, play with nuke rocket launchers, high explosive rocket launchers, DAPs and DARs. And then humanoids get, the skinnies get beam and missile weapon, heavy weapons. And then, a page of examples of play. Special weapons and equipment chart. And then some really cool, just some really cool artwork. There's a skinny right there. Just some really cool artwork. I flipped through my copy was starting to, the front and back cover was starting to come off of the staples because I flipped through this so much. But yeah, and this is how also you can tell. I've been gaming since 1980. That's the year I first got into gaming. I don't think I ever purchased an Avalon Hill game that had these old catalogs in it. These are the 70s catalogs. I mean, they've got not only the Avalon Hill stuff, but, they've just got all the Avalon Hill stuff, plus their leisure games, retail line. I mean, it's an excellent, excellent time capsule. Yeah, it's like Tactics 2, or Tactics 2, $5. Kriegspiel, $10. Alexander the Great, $9. And then there's this absolute, these leisure time games. Oh, just look at this. This is great. All their non-war games. I actually own a couple of these. Not many, but I own a couple. But yeah, just absolutely beautiful. Combat, very, very simple. Attack ratio. And you've got 2 different types. You got the Terran attack, and you've got the alien attack. So Terran units defending. So depending on who's attacking, use a different chart. But again, it's all odds ratio. Roll a d6, couple modifiers, bam, there's a result. Terrain effects table. Special weapons and equipment loss, mobile infantry carrying capacity. The one thing that I loved about this game. The alien control pad. Since you're fighting against the bugs, and they have underground networks, the bugs, the arachnids, actually on this chart draw out their underground hive complex, and the Marines have to go in there, and they're going in blind. They don't know what they're going into. All they know is that there's a complex underneath there, and this is how the aliens control where their troops are and where the entire hive is. And then, of course, there's a whole host of markings you could put on here. Breaches, cell complexes, repair tunnel hexes, emplaced nukes, rad zones. Tiny, tiny counters. These counters are much more tiny than I remember. I mean, look at my big thumb. You got some engineers there. You had 2 different colors for 2 different full platoons of troops. You had the lighter colored and darker colored, because there's a couple of scenarios that require 2 full platoons of troops on the field. And then you've got casualty markers, wounded, KIA, heavy. I think there's stun somewhere. Nope, no stun on here. And then you've got demolition markers, and then just special counters, thumpers to try to sound out where the enemy tunnels are at, little landing beacons, and then the bugs and the skinnies. Not many skinnies. There was only 2 scenarios that had skinnies in them, so not many skinnies. But again, 2 different colors of bugs for 2 different hive complexes. I think 2 or 3 of the scenarios actually had 2 hive complexes on it. Let's take a look at some of these. You got warrior bugs, which are the 631s. You had weapons platforms, the 1883s, and then drones, 011s. I don't remember. And then here's the skinnies, the 232s, and some missile platforms, and some tanks. God-awful, horrible representations of tanks. Now, this one kind of surprised me, because coming from Panzer Leader, Panzer Blitz, and Squad Leader, I was expecting geomorphic map boards. This does not have geomorphic map boards. This has one set map board, yet you can't do anything more with. It's the same time every time you play. It's the same setup. And this is really the first time I'd seen an Avalon Hill game do that. Like I said, this is me being very, very young, less than a year or 2 into wargaming. So, and it's not bad. You can definitely tell it's got the same style as Outdoor Survival. And 1914, 1776, other the older games. It's the same artist that did the board art. And believe me, I don't remember his name. But, you've got mountains, you've got plains, you've got the city up there, you got the desert here. So, it was a little bit of a disappointment not to have geomorphic map boards. But, again, I understand. So, that is, in its entirety, Starship Troopers. Box spell's a little mildewy, but that's nothing major. We're probably going to be getting this to the table just for nostalgia's sake. I am going to have to clip the counters and get them all punched out, because a game is meant to be played, not sit on the shelf unused, at least in my opinion. So we're going to be taking a more in-depth look at this here soonish. I mean, I know I'm definitely occupied with the computer stuff, but I did want to let those of you who don't like the computer stuff and want me to get back to more tabletop, we're looking at doing that. I also acquired, what's that? Firepower. That's one I never owned. And there's a reason why I never owned it, because it was billed as the modern day Squad Leader, and I was already playing Squad Leader, and I didn't want to waste brain cells on another game. So again, managed to recently acquire this. Again, it's mostly an unpunched version, so we're going to be taking a look at that as well. But I did want to get a quick video out for Starship Troopers, and we will be playing this. I need to go through the first scenario against the skinnies first, and then I might record one of the scenarios against the bugs. So, I think that's all I got. That's about 15 minutes, not even that. I think that's a good amount of time. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms in the comment section below. See ya!